Now that we've got our awesome knife kit, let's go over some tips and some tricks to staying nice and safe with our knife. Okay, we're gonna first start off looking at our chef's knife. This is the handle. It's a full tang. We have the metal that comes all the way through and the rivets that you can see. When we handle this knife, we can pull it out of the sheath and we can put it back in very simply. Sheath off to the side. Remember one very important thing. One part of this knife cuts, and it's this edge right down there at the bottom. So our goal is to make sure we stay out of the way of that edge. Every other part of the knife does not cut, so we need to handle it appropriately. When we handle the knife, we want 3 fingers around the handle, and then we actually pinch the blade right there. This brings it closer to our arm and allows us to have more control over our product. Okay. Everything that we do when we handle this knife, again, I'm gonna say this probably a few more times, make sure that this edge stays away from us and not over our fingers or toward anyone else. Let's take a quick look at our cutting board. Under it, we have a mat, and that mat stops the cutting board from slipping. That way we can keep all of our fingers. We also have tables here at the school with adjustable legs. So if you come into a classroom and a table's a little wobbly, please adjust the legs. Remember, we want to keep those fingers. Okay, so now we've got our knife right here and we're starting to work, and it's always a good idea to make sure that our blade is sanitary. So we keep a sanitizer bucket on our station. That's how we keep our station sanitary. And we have a rag in there, a wet rag. And I'm just gonna give the knife a quick wipe. Notice my hand is going to be on the dull side of the knife, never with the blade facing me, because that blade can cut through this towel, no problem, and then it's just your hand and that blade, and that could be very dangerous. Okay, now let's talk about actually working with the knife. Whenever I'm setting up my station, because I'm right-handed, I always have my raw product in a pan off to my left. As I work, I will create trash, so I have something to put any scraps, and then I will also create finished product, so I have my containers for my finished product. I have 3 products, I have 3 containers for my finished product. Now that we've got our station nice and set, let's come back to that knife. Let's talk about just simple knife movement. I've already cleaned this celery. All my vegetables are already clean as I've come over to my workstation. I see some flaws in here, which maybe I don't want, so I can remove those. I don't have to cut off big chunks of celery. And now I've got my celery. Celery is a great product to start to practice with. And what we're practicing with really is the hand that's not holding the knife. We're gonna hold the knife and we're gonna cut using the shape of the knife. Okay, there's a reason it's got that shape. So my hand on this side, people call it the claw. You kind of do that. You can do 1 finger if you're more comfortable. You can do multiple fingers. But the point is to make sure that your hand is literally guiding the blade. So we're gonna work in unison like this. And we're gonna close that claw and we're gonna move it up and down our vegetable. So let's give it a shot with the celery. Just moving that knife back and forth, going down the celery, and I'm kind of closing my fingers. And as I close them, they go from that to that. And now I'm closed, so I'm gonna open it back up again and just keep cutting. And you get nice even cuts that way. Take your time and get used to moving like this. This is very important for success in the kitchen. All right. Let's start to put our celery away. Another item that we're going to use a lot in the kitchen is a peeler. We have really nice peelers in your bag. Here it is. Even has a blade on both sides. Now, when I peel items, I often like to put down plastic wrap, just like so. Notice I didn't pull the plastic wrap on the other side of the kitchen and walk it over. I pulled it right here. So I can peel both sides of this carrot. And look, my peelings are going right on, I can peel with both sides of the peeler up and down the carrot. And all my peelings land on the plastic wrap. So when it comes time for me to clean up, here I am. Okay, so now my carrot, and I still have this bit that I don't want. Again, that's the only part I'm going to remove. I'm not going to take anything else from the carrot. Now the carrot's a little different from celery because it's round and we'll want to roll around on us. So I want to create a nice flat edge. I cut the carrot into a size I want to work with, and now I have a flat edge, so it won't roll around on me. So if I want to square it off for fine classical knife cuts, I can do so just like that. These are not trash. This can still be used for a lot of things. And if you're practicing, it's great to take your squared off pieces and just practice with your claw and moving the knife. Like that. This takes time and practice. It's not going to come overnight. You know, you work at it for a couple of weeks diligently and you'll start to really get good at it. Another thing that helps too, you might notice I'm standing a little bit at an angle. I lead with my left foot and come at an angle. It allows my arm to move more freely. Okay. So we've seen the carrot and we've seen the celery so far, so we're going to do an onion now. I have my onion here. I am going to end up dicing this onion, so I'm going to cut the top off. But I actually want to leave the root on. It's going to help me keep my onion together. So I'm going to cut the onion in half. And remember, half is 2 equal parts. So I'm going to cut it from top to bottom. That way I've got a part of the top and I've got a part of the bottom on both pieces. Now when we peel the onion and we start to dice it, there are a couple trains of thought on how to dice the onion. One is to take your blade and cut into the side. The idea being that you're cutting the sides of the onion so when you make your final move, it'll come into a dice. The other way I like to do it is to go with the curvature of the onion. This is actually my preferred method, especially for things like mirepoix. And that's our quick knife demo.